Everybody's angry. Everybody's so angry. Oh, everywhere I look online, YouTube, anywhere on like message boards, everyone's just up in arms about the Switch 2. Oh, it's breaking my heart. I wish everybody could just be happy and excited about this console, and it's just been the exact opposite. Everybody's so mad and complaining about everything, and every little piece of news that comes out about the Switch 2, everybody's up in arms and complaining and grabbing their pitchforks and their torches and wanting to go straight for Nintendo. It just makes me sad. This should be a happy time. Everybody should be looking forward to the successor to what I believe is the best system of all time, the Nintendo Switch. We had a great 8 years with the Switch, tons of great games. It's an amazing system, and the follow-up should be very exciting. I know some people were kind of bummed that Nintendo, they felt, played it kind of safe and kind of just did the same thing again. But in that respect, I'm actually super excited because I don't think they needed to change much. If you have a winning formula, you stick with it, you just make it better and more powerful, and that's it. That's all I wanted, was a more powerful Switch, and that's what we got. But everyone is taking every little piece of news that comes out and getting so mad at Nintendo. And instead of being excited for this release, everybody's all doom and gloom, and it makes me sad. On my YouTube feed, every single person that I subscribe to is like, this thing that I heard about the Switch 2 is garbage. Oh, the Switch 2 is going to fail because of this. Oh, I'm angry because the Switch doesn't do this. XYZ. Oh, I'm so mad. Freaking out. Oh, I don't know. Every little thing that comes out, everyone's complaining about it. We should be happy and excited for this system. Every little thing that we hear about the system, I have my own thoughts and feelings. So I thought it would be cool to make a video kind of addressing all of the components of the Switch 2 launch that everyone is mad about, and kind of give my thoughts and my 2 cents on it. So let's break it down. The first thing that everybody got really mad about was some of the information that was left out in the initial Switch 2 Direct, where they gave us more info about the games, the system, kind of how they were going to roll out the system and the different features that were going to be in the Switch 2. And after the Direct, it came out that Mario Kart World was going to be $80 physically. Now, throughout the entire Switch's lifespan, games were $59.99. And that was like the highest that we saw until Tears of the Kingdom came out. And that was the sole $69.99 game that Nintendo had. They wanted to charge $70 for it, because I don't know, I guess they figured it was, you were going to get more playtime out of it. The quality was worth 10 extra dollars. And, Zelda fans, just said, okay, they spent the extra $10. So that was a little bit shocking. So I thought personally that was kind of the direction they were going to go. I thought that most of the first-party Nintendo games for Switch 2 were going to be $69.99, and that little testing ground, doing it with Tears of the Kingdom, I thought was just testing it and getting the customer base ready for the fact that all of the first-party games from here on out were going to be $69.99. So I thought they were going to say, Mario Kart World's going to be $69.99, Donkey Kong's going to be $69.99, but no, it came out that Mario Kart World is going to be $80. So everybody was up in arms about, instead of making $69.99 and $70 the new benchmark, now it was going to be $80. And, I'm not really happy about that. That seems really, really high, especially when you take into consideration that most Nintendo first-party games never go on sale. And when they do, they only go on sale like maybe $10 or $20 off. So is Mario Kart World going to be $80 for the entire lifespan of the Switch 2? Because if you look at Mario Kart Ace, that is still a $60 game, even though it's 8 years old. Actually, more than that if you consider that it came out for the Wii U. So people are not happy about that, and I have to say I agree. I'm not going to be spending $80 on these first-party Nintendo games, especially because I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the first-party offerings that they have. I'm not a big Mario Kart guy. My kids are kind of. I did pre-order the bundle, so I will be getting it. But when you get it bundled, it's only $50, but it will be digital. If you want it physically, it's going to be the full $80. The next is the price of the console. Everyone's mad about how expensive the console is going to be. I kind of thought it was going to be this price. I thought 400 or 450. So just the base model without a game is $450. If you get the bundle with Mario Kart, it's going to be $500. So when you consider that Mario Kart is $80, and if you get it with the bundle, it's going to be $30 less. I think that's a pretty good deal. You're not going to have anything to show for it. Nothing's going to go on your shelf, but at least you'll be able to get the game for $50. But I don't think $450 is that crazy of a price for the Switch 2. For the power that it has and all the capabilities with the mouse functionality and 120 FPS and all the different specs that it has, I don't think that that's a really bad price. And I'm looking forward to seeing games that are going to actually take advantage of it. Some of the games that got announced, like Cyberpunk, those are going to look really good. And be able to play that and Metroid Prime 4 with the mouse, that's going to be really, really cool. So I don't really think 450 is that crazy. Okay, the game keycard situation. Another thing that came out after the initial Switch 2 Direct was that some games were going to be on game keycards, which means you are going to have a Switch 2 cartridge, just like you do now, but there's only going to be a fraction of the game on there, and they're going to have to download the remaining information from the game onto your Switch in either the internal storage or onto one of those micro SD card expresses. And people were up in arms about that as well. I must say, this is the thing that probably gets my goat the most. I'm not a fan of this at all. Of course, I would rather have the entire game on the cartridge for preservation's sake. And the main problem that I have with it is these micro SD express cards are going to be expensive. So if every game that we buy, you're going to have to be, downloading a big chunk and going onto your storage, you're going to have to buy more and more of these SD cards, and they're not going to be cheap, especially for the foreseeable future. They do get cheaper as the generation progresses, but at the very beginning, these are not going to be cheap. So in addition to having the cards, you're going to have to download a big chunk also. So Nintendo is giving publishers three options. Either their game can be available digitally only, they can be put on a key card, which means it's going to be an 8 gig card, and then the rest of, if your game's over 8 gigs, people are going to have to download the remainder. Or, excuse me, you can spring for a 64 gig card, which is the biggest, but they're really expensive, which is going to be cutting into the profits of the publishers. So if you have a really big game, you can fit it on 64 gigs, that's great, but it's going to cut into your profits. So games like Cyberpunk, that's going to be all on the card. And they said that was one of the things that was important to them, which is great. We're really happy that some of the publishers are going to be doing that. But I could see it like, if your game is 11 gigs, like that's what I heard Bravely Default's going to be. Why are they going to spring for a 64 gig card if your game's only 11 gigs? Of course, they're going to want to use the game key card, so it's going to be a little chunk of it, and then the rest of it, they're going to have us consumers download the rest of it, which is not great. I really wish Nintendo would let them, have an array of different size cards available. That way they can get the one that's going to fit their game the best, and it won't cut into their profits as much. Like have an 18 gig card, have a 28 gig card, 36, that way they can kind of use the right size card and it won't cut into their profits. That's the thing I'm kind of bummed out about the most. But I gotta tell you guys, everything is going all digital. Like, I don't like it, and I know that you guys don't like it. Us old people, we're used to owning stuff. When we plunk down our hard-earned money, we want to have something to show for it, something we can hold and preserve the game and sell later if we want to. We don't want to just pay for a download code, and then you're stuck with it. You have nothing to do with it, and if the servers go down, what are you going to do? I get it, but everything's going digital. It's just the way everything's going. And this is a baby step that Nintendo is taking. So people like us still have something to hold and something that we can sell, because it's not going to be tied to your account. And, the thing about the servers, if you look at the old Wii games, if you purchased a Wii game on their servers, you can still download those. All these years later, you can still download a game that you purchased from the Wii. So it's been, 20 years? So I wouldn't worry about that. A lot of people are like, oh, they're going to shut down the servers and I won't be able to buy my games again. You will. If you already paid for it, I think they're going to support it for quite a while. But everything's going all digital, guys. I mean, it's just inevitable. So at this point, if digital games were cheaper, I'd probably go all digital, to be honest. I'm a cheap guy. Spending $60 on a physical game or $60 digital where I'm not getting anything, why have the publishers not made the digital games cheaper? It makes no sense to me. You're not having to pay for the case, the artwork, the distribution, the cartridge. Make those cheaper. If they would actually do that, I probably would go all digital. The next thing everyone's all mad about is Nintendo has said that if you mess with your console, if you mod it or open it or tamper with it in any way, they reserve the right to essentially brick your system, which means they can render it inoperable so that you won't be able to use it again. Everyone's all up in arms about this. This has been a thing for a while with other consoles as well. But whenever Nintendo mentions it, oh, we're all angry. What are we going to do? And the reason they're doing this is because, I know this is hard to believe, guys, but Nintendo doesn't want you to steal their games. They want you to pay for their games. So if it looks like you're opening up your system and you're, modding it so that you can play ROMs and steal their games, they're going to be angry about that. And I can't say I blame them. I really don't. And especially with a system like the Switch, what are you going to be modding? I don't know. With the first Switch, there was all different kinds of Joy-Cons you could get, different sizes, different grips, different buttons. What are you going to mod? The back plate of the screen? I don't understand. And everyone's like, oh, I'm going to mod my system, but I don't want to steal games. If you're modding your system, you're wanting to do some shady stuff. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? Just pay for your games, don't mod your system, and everything will be fine. I don't blame Nintendo for this. And I don't know, I just think we should all just pay for our games and not try to mod it. I don't blame them at all. If I had a company and I made a system, I would try to make sure that my customers weren't trying to pirate and steal my games either. That's just common sense. And I don't get the blowback about this. And that's the case with other systems as well. If they can tell that you're doing shady stuff with your system, they can brick it, and you can void the warranty, and they can make it inoperable, and that's nothing new. So Nintendo announced that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible, which means that most of, or all of, what we hope, all of the Switch 1 games are going to work on the Switch 2. So you should be able to take your cartridge from the Switch 1, put it in the Switch 2, and it should be able to work. Well, they came out today with a list of some games that will not work or might have some issues running on the Switch 2. And a lot of these, and they released a list, said that the developers are aware of this and they're trying to work on a fix so that it should be able to work on Switch 2. The list is very, very short. A lot of people are up in arms because, this game's not going to work and this game's not going to work. Do you know how many games have released for the Switch 1? A lot. Thousands of games have come out for the Switch 1. So when you consider how many games we're talking about here in the grand scheme of things that are going to be backwards compatible, the list is humongous. And this little tiny list of games that won't work, because the size of the Joy-Con, or maybe there's some kind of patch that they need to develop, is really small in the grand scheme of things. So yes, I would consider this almost fully backwards compatible. And as time goes on, I do believe that a lot of the developers are going to make it so that their games will be able to run on Switch 2 without a problem. Lastly, we saw today that Switch 2s are in the wild right now. They are at, Best Buys and Targets, and they're locked up behind cages and stuff. But the inevitable happened. One of the systems got out. Somebody opened it and was making a unboxing video, and they took the Switch 2 out, and they tried to play it, and it was found out that you cannot play the Switch 2 yet until the day one update or patch comes out. And everyone's all up in arms that, it's a brick. When you buy the Switch 2, it's just this brick that you can't play or anything. Again, Nintendo doesn't want you to break Street Day. They want you guys to wait until the actual release of the Switch 2. And I, for one, am kind of happy. Like, we don't have many surprises. Even when the Switch 2 was, unveiled, we already knew the colors. We already knew the mouse functionality. We already knew everything else. Everything else leaked. I kind of want something to be, I want something to be secret. And obviously, they don't want people to be playing it before the actual launch day. Like, I get it. And people are saying, it's going to be just a brick, and unless you can connect it to the system. And what if you want to, buy a boxed Switch 2 10 years from now? It's going to be, inoperable, and it's just going to be a brick. You're not going to be able to update. I mean, if you can still download games that you purchased for the original Wii on their servers, 20-something years later, I think you'll be okay. I think they're going to make it so that you'll still be able to download the update that you need to make your Switch 2 operable and work out of the box, even if it's, 10, whatever, however many years down the road. I don't think we need to worry about that. Everyone's just doom and gloom. Everything that they say, it's like, oh, we're mad about this. Oh, we're mad about that. Like, let's just relax and enjoy this. And, there's not a whole lot of games coming out for the Switch 2 initially that I'm really excited for. But I know they're coming, and I'm super excited to get some games that take advantage of the hardware and the mouse functionality. I'm really excited to have that. And the games just look phenomenal. There's been people, comparing this to like PS5 and PS4 Pro. That's just insane to me. Like, the fact that we're going to be able to have a, mainstream Nintendo console that can play games that high of quality on the go. I'm super excited for it, A lot of the games coming out at launch I'm not too excited for, but they're coming. I can't wait to see what games come. I can't wait to mess with it and go through and start to figure out like the mouse and how all that works. And I don't know. I just think we need to relax and have some fun and just enjoy this time, because how often do we get a new Nintendo console to release? And I'm super excited. Thank you guys for watching. We're on the road to 100 subs. We're going to hopefully do a nice big live stream when we get to 100 subs. I'm working on my Switch collection because it's the end of the Switch's life, and it's a perfect time to go through and catalog my entire collection before we start moving on to Switch 2. And I'm super excited. This is a really fun time. Let's enjoy it and have some fun. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you everybody that has subscribed and liked the videos. Please comment what's working, what's not, what I can do to better the channel. And let's just start having some conversations and helping each other out and building this community. That would be fantastic. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.
I have a Switch addiction.